You are now listening to Random Ramblings with Rob.
Yay! If you like hanging out at Walmart, if you like hanging out in the aisles, if you like talking random stuff, Random Ramblings with Rob. Random Ramblings with Rob. Yo. Random Ramblings with Rob. Walmart talking, we're random Ramblings with Rob. Rob.
What up, everybody? This your boy B-Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Ramblings with Rob podcast. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week, or however you listen to podcasts. If you're a first-time listener, I appreciate you giving me your time, trying something new, which is being me, which, you know, if I'm your new thing, I should be your boo thing, baby. Just put me down on your subscribe list. Get those automatic freaking downloads and whatnot, stockpile all these episodes and just go down the rabbit hole, man. You could be like Nick Laubers. I have 160, well, with this one, this will probably put it like 64, 65 episodes published. Maybe even more if you count the specials and everything. So damn near 200 episodes of this podcast is out in the world floating around. And Nick Laubers is the only guy that I know, besides myself, because I do the show every fucking week, right, that has heard every last episode of this show. And that's a feat within itself. And I'm forever grateful for Nick for taking his time to waste his time listening to me run my goddamn mouth. But anyway, I got a guest. We've had many of people to come through the Random Ramblings with Rob, and people from adult porn stars. We ain't got no kid porn stars, so fuck all that shit. So, adult films, professional wrestlers, goddamn artists, comic book people, you know, you name it. All those type of people been through here. But the ones that I enjoy the most that come on here are my brothers and sisters. One being one of my former service mates that I served with on my last duty station before I got out of the Marine Corps. He is what are you, Puerto Rican?
Yeah, Puerto Rican.
Honduran? What are you? Nah, fucking with you.
Puerto Rican. I'm an island beaner.
Yeah, I made the mistake long ago of calling a Puerto Rican dude a Mexican, and we almost went into a fist fight. So, but my man, Roque, and this dude here from, all the time that I've been in, surprised me with his, motivation and everything as far as, his work ethic, you know, just his, stick-to-itiveness, his hustle, his damn getting shit done when nobody else want to get it done, his goddamn kind of going around, you know, certain avenues of approach to get things accomplished. And he motivated me to be an overall better person, better Marine. And I'm just glad that I can get to talk to him voice to voice, get him on the show, and just kind of kick the bullshit, man. So welcome, dude.
Thank you. Appreciate it, boss.
Yeah. So you in Hawaii now, right?
Yeah, I've been here for over 3 years now.
So first of all, before we get into anything else, what the fuck is Hawaii like? I'm living through your Instagram and everything, which we'll even get to the Instagram thing later. But I mean, how is Hawaii as a whole?
It's good. I mean, the island's really small. It's out of all the islands, it's the one that has the party city, I guess you can say, because, you know, you say Hawaii, but I live in Oahu, which is the actual island. Yeah. And the big island, the one that's actually called the Big Island of Hawaii. But it's small. You can only do so much, honestly. And I mean, I guess the only good thing about it is just on a daily basis, there's new tourists coming in and out, so there's always different people on island.
Yeah.
Because it's such a touristy island. But I mean, I love to drive and stuff like that. You could only go so far. It kind of sucks being so far away from the mainland because you can't really go many places. And plane tickets are not too expensive, but they're also, it's just a hassle, you know, like if you want to be able to fly, go back to Cali or go back to the mainland, it's a little bit more tricky than just hopping in a vehicle for a 96 and taking off, you know?
Yeah, man. What drew you to the military? What was the deciding factor? You saying, "Hey, I want to join up."
So the first time, because remember I went to boot camp twice. The first time, I came out of high school and I was in this business college, and I didn't study for one of my tests. And I was going in there and I'm like, I knew I wasn't going to study. Like, I knew I didn't study. I knew I was going to fail. And I'm just like being hard on myself. And right before I walked into school, there's a recruiter right outside. He's like, "Hey, have you thought about joining the Marine Corps?" And I was like, this moment, I would probably join the Marine Corps. He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "I didn't study for my test and I'm about to go take it." And then he's like, "All right, talk to me afterwards." I bombed that test. Like, I think the only thing I got right was my name. And, yeah, right after that, I went straight to the office, and about a month and a half later, I was on my way to boot camp after Christmas.
Yeah. Now you say you went to boot camp twice and whatnot. I mean, I didn't really get that whole story because, I mean, I'm going to tell you, we worked together and everything. I mean, we hung out whenever we hung out or whatnot. But there was things that were brought to my attention about you that I never knew. And that was you doing your freaking, how the classes pick their freaking guest speaker and whatnot. And some, some stuff was revealed about you, the wife, the kid, and everything that I never even knew. I mean, I never thought to ask anything like that. And that's not nothing that would normally come up in a regular conversation and whatnot. So what was the story behind going to the boot camp twice?
Well, the first time, so during BWT, right before we got to the Crucible, I got hives, and they're like freaked out. They don't know like what caused them. My airways closed and whatnot. And so I got rushed to the hospital. They didn't, the morning of the Crucible, because they didn't know what it caused the allergic reaction. And obviously, during the BWT area, it's basically the same, like where the Crucible was at.
Yeah.
They didn't want me to get exposure to the same area. So they just sent me an MRP, which is the, ones that are waiting for recovery or whatever. They did all my tests, and then they couldn't figure out what caused it. And at that time, they weren't really too concerned about numbers, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So they just discharged me and sent me home. I was there for 4 months. I even turned 18 at boot camp. And yeah, they sent me home, convenience of the government for hives, and they gave me the code they gave me, our RE code, was that I had to wait 2 years to be able to come back or even do anything whatsoever. So again, 2 years later, during that time, I went back to school. I went back to Puerto Rico. I was going to school, working at Denny's, midnight shift, and then that's where I met my girl. And I wanted to join during the time that I was in school, and then she got pregnant. So I'm like, all right, guess I'm joining the Marine Corps. And at the same time, it's just more of a, I know I can do. I want to, because like when you went to boot camp, mm-hmm. there's you either the graduation was was the only thing on your mind.
Yeah,
like you didn't want to be that one that comes home and be like, oh, I failed.
Yeah. And
even though it wasn't my fault the first time, I still had that in the back of my mind. We're like, oh, I'm coming back home. And everyone's like, oh, you're a failure. You're a failure. You're a failure. And I didn't want anything to do with that. So, my family was supportive to a point, but, and then so my girl got pregnant, and I was just like, all right, well, working at Denny's is not cutting it. And I wasn't really, I was getting good grades in school, but it's like, now that she's pregnant, do I continue to school or do I continue to work? And then, in Denny's, you could only do so good. So I just found a recruiter. I actually saw him at the mall. I went to the mall to buy a backpack. I saw him. I was on the second floor. I looked down. I saw him in dress blues. And I literally followed this dude for like 2 hours around the mall, just trying to get him to talk to me, but trying to be like nonchalant about it. And then every time he would stop to talk to someone, I would get in front of him and pretend that I'm looking at something and kind of like try to get his attention, and nothing. So I was like, I kind of gave up after that. Started walking over towards my car, and then right before I like opened my door, he's like, "Hey," and he's Dominican, and then he had turned around and he's like, "Hey, you ever thought about joining the Marine Corps?" I was like, "Yeah, actually." And then he's like, I'm like, "I've been there before," and he like looked at me like I was just giving him like some bullshit, and he's like, "Yeah, come to my office." And I went to his office, brought my big red folder that had every possible documentation in there. And he's like, "Holy fuck." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude." And that was January of 2007. No, that was January 2009. And then we got everything approved, but I couldn't sign that program until exactly the 2-year mark. So it was like April 29th when we signed it. And then I was supposed to ship out later that year, but some fat kid failed the IST. And I was like, I begged him. I was like, "Dude, just send me. And he sent me. And yeah, ever since then, I've been in 10 years.
Man, it's just, I don't know what I would have done in that situation. I mean, it was similar for me, minus going to boot camp twice.
Twice, yeah.
I got my first wife pregnant, and then I was just like, I was making decent money because I was working at a casino in the kitchen and I was working in the mall, so I had like 2 jobs and shit. But that wasn't helping me in a way of insurance and all this other bullshit that you would need for a family and whatnot. And it's in my family. My father was in, my brothers was in, so I kind of felt almost obligated to a point to where like I need to join. I should join. I gotta join. But when I got that sonogram or that positive, little pregnancy test, I was like, yeah, I gotta go. I need to get the fuck up out of here. I was supposed to leave in October or something. I graduated and I was just like, summer hit. I was like, let's go. I need to go right now.
Well, like for me, like it wasn't bad that I went twice. It was more of the process. So going through maps and being like scared shitless because if you say one wrong thing, you can't go in. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or like, I kept my mouth shut the moment I got back into Fort Leonard Wood, not Fort Leonard Wood. Wow. Paris Island. And I didn't say nothing. Like I acted like a brand new recruit. Like I knew what was going on, what was happening, but I kept my mouth shut during receiving the first initial portion. And then people, as documentation start coming up and you start doing stuff and people start figuring it out, and I had no choice but to they start asking questions, and I had to tell them, and I was like, yeah, I've been here before. And then that put me in a position where like, oh, okay, so now you're a guide. You're gonna be in charge of all these people. And then me, I've always been a dick, so I'm like yelling at these recruits and they're like completely clueless, and I'm losing my mind because I have no patience. And they're not listening. They're not doing what you tell them, and you're giving them the answers to the test, and they're still doing the wrong stuff. And I'm over here like, bro, like it's not that hard. But then, it took me a while for me to like think back and have, put myself in. I'm like, oh, okay, enough. I put myself in their shoes. Yeah. I was in their same shoes 2 years ago doing the same thing, but now I'm more mature, I guess you can say, about the process because I've done it before. And when that hit me, I'm like, okay, now I need to take it easier on them. Like I have to like explain things. And, we had recruits from all over the state. So you had to talk to them differently, every single one of them, because some people would understand by getting yelled at. The other ones, all you need to do is talk to them. Another ones, maybe you have to shuck, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And then you had the advantage of doing the thing that a lot of us had the conversation with, in the military. If I can go back to boot camp knowing what I know, I would freaking do that shit in a heartbeat, I mean, and you had that, you actually were able to do that. Now, once it started finding out that you were there before, I mean, were they harder on you because of that fact? I mean, I know you said they found out and they was starting asking questions and then, but were they harder on you because of that?
Yeah, I feel they were harder on me just for the fact that they were expecting more. Like they put me on this pedestal, and they wanted me to perform like my senior drill instructor. So I started in 2060 was my first platoon during receiving. And then so I picked up with them. And then the first PT session that we had as a company, my platoon and 2061 were like right next to each other. And I was the guy for 2060, and my senior drill instructor was like, Kirby, which is the senior for the other guy. They're like, hey, Kirby. She's like, let me get to your squad leaders. I'll give you my guy. And Kirby's like, fuck no. Cause they're like some big boys, like corn fed, like big boys. And Kirby's like, no. He's like, come on, I'll give you a guy $20 and a pack of cigarettes. And then Kirby's like, fuck it. Sure. So then I was like, I thought they were kidding. We get back to the squad bay from PT, and they tell me to pack my bags to go upstairs. I was like, because I was first deck, and 2061 was second deck, and I was like, what the hell? And literally, like, I packed my bags and I moved upstairs, and now I'm 2061. I was like, I got traded for $20 and a pack of cigarettes, right? So then Kirby makes me his guide, and he's like, hey, I know you've been here before, blah, blah, blah. Tell me what happened. I told him what happened, like why I got dropped, blah, blah, blah. He made all the senior drill instructors, or all the other instructors, walk around with Benadryl in their pockets, like in the breast pockets. And he's like, don't worry, you're going to graduate. And they always call me 58, because that's like the time I got dropped, trained at 58. And that's all they call me. It's like 58, 58, 58, blah, blah, blah. And again, I got put on this pedestal where they wanted me to perform. I needed to be the fastest guy. I needed to make sure that I had to get 300. I needed to be expert on the rifle range. Like, there was a lot of pressure on me. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, they gave me a lot of responsibilities and trusted me a lot. So there was a point where whoever the drill instructor was in the squad bay, they would just throw me their watch and be like, hey, have the recruits online in 1945. And I would do the whole scuzz. I would throw them. I would do start and port sides for the heads and had them get them showered. Like, I would literally do everything. And in 1945, we're online. The drill instructor comes out, dusts the counts, lights, we go to bed. And it was like that probably from second phase all the way to the very end. And then because I had been there before and I had done some stuff, I got away with a lot of things, like, you know, when you get in trouble or you piss them off and you're holding your sea bag in line forever. Mm-hmm. Like, I was in the bathroom just sitting on top of the washer dryer, reading a magazine. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. That's the little stuff. Like, or my senior would just send me to the head with the guide on to go work on drill. Yeah. And then I start hearing screams. I'm like, all right, I'm in the head and I'm working on the stuff. And I hear screams. And then when I look out through the little window, like my recruits are getting destroyed. And I'm like, I've done this before. Like, I can be like a hypocrite and be like, oh, I'm not going to go. I'm going to go do things with them. Hell no. Like, I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go out there and get destroyed. Like, nah, I've done this before. I've done island hopping when I first went through. I got island hopped 6 times. Mm-hmm. I had this one drill instructor that fucking hated me. And I went through every single island that I went through every single pit 7 times. And Paris Island, and that was the most miserable. And that's the only time. Well, I lied. I cried twice in boot camp. The first time I ever cried was the second island that I did, because I was just. It wasn't even. I was more like it was a pissed off cry. Like, yeah, I was so mad. That. Yeah. Because I was just like, why are you doing this to me? Like, I didn't do anything. All I did was I don't remember what I even did to deserve it, because it was just me and that drill instructor. He was Mexican too, so it probably has something to do with that. And then the second time I cried, my senior drill instructor, he got super sick, and we had just finished drilling, and our senior commander comes out and tells us that we got him fired because we were so bad in drill. And so he's gone the entire weekend. So he gets fired, right? So he's gone the entire weekend, and it's nothing but green belts and green belts and green belts, and they're just destroying us, and there's no one there to save us. And we're just looking at the door, like waiting for somebody to like come in and save us from getting destroyed. We literally got destroyed the Friday. What's it? No, not Friday. Sunday morning. We didn't even go to church. Like we were just getting destroyed from like early in the morning. Like we will wake up and we'll go straight to sandbox, get destroyed there, and then come back upstairs and get destroyed upstairs. Go back downstairs. It was just bad. And then it wasn't until Sunday night, Serious Commander comes out and he's like talking to us. And we have our backstories to Senior Drill Instructor's house. And he's like talking to us and he's telling us like, what the fuck's wrong with us? Why are we so trash? Blah, blah, blah. Like it's more like a tone conversation / ass chewing. And he's like, 61 stand up. So we all stand up and he's like, turn around. And we all see our senior like coming down the hallway. Dude, we all bawled like little bitches. We're like, oh, daddy's back. And we're just like, dude, I would never forget. We like even the biggest guy in there. He was like this. He was 6'2", about 240 pounds. Like this dude was massive. It was all nothing but muscle. We call him the Wall. And this dude cried more than every single one of us. Like he bawled his eyes out. And man, I'm telling you, like, there's just some things in boot camp. It's like, like we were in a schoolhouse.
Yeah.
Like I would call my best friend and be like, yo, bro, guess what happened today? And I would tell him something. He's like, no way. I'm like, I swear I cannot make this up. Like the students do
stupid shit.
The darnest things.
Yeah, man, it's just like some of the things that you was describing, like how they give you the leeway to do things or whatever. It kind of remind me of all these cop movies or whatever when they have the informant on the inside with the mob and shit. It's all like they'll come in and do a drug bust, and they'll be like, "All right, everybody get down," and they'll just take the one dude in the back and be like, "All right, you get over here. The rest of y'all get over there," and you just like chilling in the back of the squad car with some cigarettes and just talking with them and everything and letting them know what's going on.
Because you're the one that caught that.
Yeah, and then they got what you were saying about boot camp and just the senior going away and coming back and everything. I mean, I kind of feel like it's almost like Stockholm syndrome, man. We there for like 3 months with these 3 to 4 individuals or whatever. They're beating the shit out of us. They're making us do shit that we don't want to do. I mean, ultimately to make us stronger, make us better or whatever. But in the time, if you're doing it for the first time, not the second time like you, but you're there, you're getting put through all this hell or whatever. But if something was to happen to those guys that's putting you through all this shit, you would be lost. You would be sad and crying like however the hell y'all was. I mean, it's just it's a mind trip, man.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all loyalty though.
Yeah. Like
it's just the loyalty and the bond that you create it's indescribable, because it's even in the Marine Corps when, as we're, let's say Fort Leonard, for example, right? Mm-hmm. You are, and it always happens with our students where the Marines would be hate, like the Marines within the class, they'll like hate each other. Mm-hmm. But then the moment somebody in the Army walks by and says something to the Marines, oh hell breaks loose. Like they no longer hate each other. Now, you can't talk to my brother like that. Oh, I can talk to my brother like that. It's this like big brother, little sister, big sister, or whatever you want to call it, like relationship that we'll fight with each other, but if somebody else from outside the circle comes and tries to fuck with any of us, mm-hmm. that it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen at all.
Yeah, it's just like siblings, man. It's just exactly like that. But man, getting to Fort Leonard or whatever, that's where we kind of crossed paths and everything. I think I got there in 2014. How long had you been there before me?
I got there in January of 2013.
Okay, so you've been there just about a year.
Yeah.
What was that whole thing like for you? Because I mean, we both transportation and everything, and you going to the schoolhouse to teach our own kind and whatnot. I mean, how was that experience for you?
I think honestly it was the most rewarding experience I've had in my entire career. Based mainly because I don't know. I guess I was always busy. Whether it was volunteering, dealing with the POTS program, and then just training students. I didn't really have any time for myself. I mean, I never went to the gym there. I would come in to work at 4:30 in the morning and leave around 10 at night, dealing with students, especially if it was like when I was in mat, which was the worst. Like not the worst time, but it was the most busiest time I had because, I would come in, deal with students all day. As soon as I get off, I go volunteer, take care of my duties as boss, then come back and there's always something with that. But I mean, I guess I just put it in myself to just stay busy, honestly. Like I didn't go out. I didn't really hang out with anybody. I kind of just created my own little island, and then I just volunteer. And then the few times that I did go out, kind of just like, it was just kind of a lot of place for the simple fact that I was so used to a certain schedule. But teaching my kind, I thought it was like probably one of the best things or decisions I ever made, because it was rewarding. Like I learned a lot about myself, I guess, with having patience and understanding. I was obviously a dick, but
I was about to say, I don't know about that patience thing,
Yeah, a lot of it also has to do with patience for myself, because there's many situations where I could have easily just choked the crap out of somebody, you know what I mean? And then it's like, all right, just sit back and think about your choices, because if I were to, wrap my arms around your neck, it probably will be a good idea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You built so much in your career at this point just to lose it on the stupid motherfucker,
Exactly. That happens all the time.
Yeah. Working with you, your leadership style and everything, and how you kind of coach the Marines and everything and whatnot. Had you ever thought about being a drill instructor? Because I kind of felt, just the interactions and the experiences that I had working with you or whatever, I think that would have been a good career path for you. But then again, before we started recording proper, it's that time of the year again to where it's decision time to where we're going to stay in and get out. So
yeah, so I have thought about that many times. I actually had two class seats. I was supposed to go this past, I was supposed to graduate December of last year, but I actually had to deny orders because I had my 7th kidney failure. But being where I'm at right now with my choices and stuff like that, I would throw a package in, but I'm kind of more on the edge about that for the simple fact that I don't know if I want to put my body through that stuff,
Yeah. Now let's talk about that. That's an interesting point that you bring up about the kidney failure. 7 of them that you're saying, but I was there for one of them. What number was that?
That was 5.
5. Okay. What's going on with your kidneys, man? Where did this all start, or what can you recall how this started to begin?
So the first time it started was in North Carolina. I was with my unit out there. So I just done a CFT in the morning, and after my CFT, I went home. We went to work and I was fine, no issues, but blah blah blah. Then later that afternoon, I got home in my barracks room. I was just chilling, and all of a sudden I started getting this like back spasm on my back, and I've never had that before. So I was like, "What the hell is this?" And one thing led to another, and it got to a point where I was on the floor screaming, trying to figure out what to do. So they ended up, I couldn't stand up, so they ended up taking me to the hospital over at New Bern. And then it was, so they released me. They just oh, you're dehydrated or some shit like that at first. And they didn't really do any tests. They just gave me an IV and they sent me home that day. So the
sounds about
morning,
right.
I was supposed to follow up with my PCM. And they, she goes, as soon as I walk in, she sees me and she's like, "Oh, it's that guy." And these 2 dudes just rushed me and put me on the freaking, what's that bed called? The stretcher.
Yeah.
And then they start hauling my ass outside to a fucking ambulance. I'm like, what the hell? And she's there. And I'm like, man, what the fuck's going on? She's like, oh, your kidneys are not working. You go to the hospital ASAP. I get back to the hospital, put me in the ER. My creatinine level was 4.7, and it's usually supposed to be 1.1, 1.2. So, and even over 5.0, it's like where you start dialysis for a new kidney. And yeah, I'm sitting there. I'm just like, what the hell? And I spent 2.5 months in hospital. Yeah. I lost my spot because I was supposed to go back to Afghanistan the following month or the following year. Lost that spot. The weirdest part with the whole thing was, so after I get out of the hospital, I had to go see a nephrologist, right? Kidney specialist. Yeah. And they went in and he did all these tests, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, good to go. So did all my tests. I was waiting for results. I go into go back to work and they're like, hey, you need to come back in. So I go back to my doctor in New Bern, and all he does, like, he don't even say nothing. All he does is just gives me a letter or this sealed envelope and tells me to give it to my command. I'm like, all right. But it was like super sealed, so it wasn't even one of those like, oh, let me try to open it up and see, and then no. Like, so I left it closed, gave it to my gunny. I come back and my gunny's like, hey, just wait, let me go talk to Sergeant Major. They open it up, and then lo and behold, the paper says that I needed to, that I had 3 months to live.
What?
Yeah. And I was just like, this deal's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, what do you mean, man? I'm like, I'm not going home. Like, I'm staying here. And they're like, no, you need to find some plans, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I'm not going anywhere. And I stuck around for the longest time, did all my stuff. 3 months later, I was still in the area. And yeah, she didn't want me. She gave me like fake leave.
Yeah.
I guess you can say, and told me to just like chill in my room, and I was like, I'll come in and work. And Sergeant like, if you fucking come in one more time, I was like, what? You gonna take my rank away? Like, I'm dying, bro. Like, just let me do it. And yeah, I mean, I'm still here, so obviously it wasn't that serious, I guess. But I had 6 more incidents, and the other incidents were not as big as the first one, because the first one was probably like the major one. Yeah. But the one in Fort Leonard, when you were there, that's the one where I found out I was allergic to Toro, and they gave me 2 doses of Toro. Oh shit! And that's when I found out that I was allergic to it. So getting the Toro, and made me, I couldn't walk or talk for 2 weeks.
God damn, dude. Shit. And it all motherfucking CFT. So the first time it was a CFT, the time that it happened with me, it was a CFT in negative degree weather. So, I mean, that probably had something to do with it as well. And,
yeah, well, my dumbass always waited till the end and to do the CFT. And you know me, like, it didn't matter how I was feeling or how my body was. Like, I had to get a 300, and I had to be the fastest guy. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, there was no choice. Like, I had to do it.
Yeah. And that's
like and you know, like, you were PFTs, like, there's no way any student was going to be faster than me. Mm-hmm. There's no way that any student was going to be better than me. And like, that's just, I guess it's a prideful thing. Absolutely. But, you know, as a leader, I would die. That was my mentality. Like, I could not have a student be better than me, because it was just not happening.
I mean, sometimes you gotta lose some of them shits, man. Because I remember we had a damn student that ran a fucking 15-minute 3 mile and shit, and I'm just like, what the? That dude is not even human. So I mean, I ain't trying to keep up with that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, with that work ethic as far as physical fitness and whatnot, I mean, you got me in shape because I know I showed up to Fort Leonard Wood a hot fucking mess and everything. I mean, I'm a naturally skinny dude, but I mean, people don't realize that skinny people can fucking be out of shape too. So I remember we did Car Wash Hill. I think the first PT session I did with you or whatever, and you just had these guys running up and down the hill. And at the time, I had to pull some those staff sergeant shenanigans or whatever. I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna stand up here at the halfway point, and you just send them to me, and I send them back down. I wasn't about to run with these motherfuckers, man.
Yeah.
But
Power show was fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, after I got used to it, it was fun or whatever, and I thank you for that, sir.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, I'm here to make people better. I'm still waiting for somebody. I was talking, so I've been running a lot of Cooper's courses, non-Cooper seminars here, and I was telling the Marines like how I picked up sergeant really quick, and they're like, "What do you do to help Marines?" I'm like, "I give you guys the answers to all the tests. Like, I do everything in my power to let you guys know what I did to succeed." And I'm at a point right now where I'm literally waiting for someone to tell me, "Hey, I picked up sergeant faster than you. I did this. I did." You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing someone succeed, because there's a lot of leadership that does not care about the improvement or does not care about whether the Marines get promoted. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're here to make, you know, not make them, but we're here to ensure that our replacements are taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's who they are. They're our replacements. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm not irreplaceable because Chesty Puller passed away, and guess what? The Marine Corps carried on. So if I get out the Marine Corps today, tomorrow, everyone's going to show up to work on a Monday morning, ready for PT, and it'll be like nothing ever happened, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, going back to what you were saying earlier about Fort Leonard Wood being the most rewarding place, I mean, I kind of feel that way too, because it done a lot of things for me, because, you know, here I am doing a podcast 3 years after the fact and whatnot. And I kind of credit this to Fort Leonard Wood because it gave me the confidence to be a decent, I'm not going to say great, public speaker and whatnot, doing the freaking, you know, the curriculum course and all that stuff. Cause, you know, I can sit here and bullshit with you or anybody. I mean, you're a freaking witness to that. But I had to think about standing up in front of a classroom of peers or students or whatever it was, and, you know, kicking knowledge, you know, talking, you know, giving a presentation. I had a deathly fear of that. And Fort Leonard Wood, you know, kind of broke that for me, you know, once they put me through the class, the course and everything, gave me some tricks and tips and whatnot, and just working with you and, you know, a couple of the other instructors, you know, I kind of found my groove, and, you know, I feel more confident in that aspect. Now I can go stand in front of anybody and just ramble off a whole bunch of bullshit and not even fucking worry about it.
Yeah. And with that, it's because I was the same way. Like, even though it was a dick, it was more of like, for them, we're maybe more professional, I guess you can say, in the aspect of talking. So I don't have to constantly have to curse, because I was every other word that comes out of my mouth was fuck, you know?
Yeah.
But I wanted to, you know, I was able, and I got the opportunity to be able to teach classes and do things where I could teach a 3-hour class and not say one single bad word. And it was super hard for me, to be honest with you. But if it wasn't for Fort Leonard Wood, like, I wouldn't have done that. The same thing with, like, being the boss program, because then, you know, the Marine Corps has the S&P program. I never volunteered, nor did I really care for it.
Yeah.
And I didn't take as much. I don't really care about volunteering as much as I did. So I got there and started working with the program. And it wasn't really the program as much as it was like the people.
Yeah.
Honestly. And the people is what made me start loving it. And then once I got to it, it was amazing. I loved it. Everything about it. And it was so rewarding to a point where after when I got to Hawaii, I was just like, okay, I'm now gonna enjoy my life, and I stopped volunteering, and all I did was just party. I did everything that I didn't do in Fort Leonard Wood because,
well, one, it was Fort Leonard Wood, so
yeah, true. But again, yeah, like we're more professional, poor speaking, like the reward. It's just something that you and I can use years to come. You know what I mean? And I don't regret it. And sometimes, as much as I hated the area, people could ask me if I would go back, and I'd probably say yes.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, if I had the choice to do it over again, I would do it again. I'll put it that way. But
yeah, it's not. I would never do it because of the place.
Yeah.
It's only because of the job.
Yeah. Okay.
Like if that job was anywhere else, if it was here in Hawaii, if it was in Japan, never Japan. If it was in like North Carolina or California, like schoolhouses were over there, I would extend. I would probably extend or like stay there as long as they can possibly let me stay.
Yeah. Yeah. And you talk about the volunteering and everything. The BOSS program and S&P, the single Marine program for both. I mean, basically, for those who don't know, it's for single Marines or single sailors or freaking whatever. I mean, it's probably different in every branch, but they organize events for these guys so they ain't just sitting around the barracks and twiddling their thumbs and getting into trouble and shit. There's volunteer opportunities. They take trips and all kind of stuff like that. And I did a little bit of that in Beaufort, South Carolina before I came to Fort Leonard Wood, and I think it's a freaking great program. I mean, I was married, but I was like one of the little chaperones or whatever. But the stuff they were able to put together and was able to do was freaking amazing. And I was just like, why aren't we getting more funding for this shit?
Well, and then so it's crazy though, because like the way the single Marine program works in the Marine Corps, it gets actually funded through MCCS. So all the money comes from MCCS, and that's how they're able to. Like, even the Marines still pay like a small fee to do certain things, but most of the money comes from MCCS. But the BOSS program, which stands for Better Opportunities for Single Soldiers, but when I was at Fort Leonard Wood, we got that changed to single service members just because it involves five branches if you include the Coast Guard, to be able to participate. But nobody funds that program. Like, the program is not funded by the Army. We don't get absolutely no help from the Department of the Army. So every dollar that we ever spend was dollar that we made doing concession stands and MWR events, or selling things here, selling stuff here, volunteering, and people donating money to us. Like, that was the only way we only had money to do anything. And then the Army came up with this fit challenge, where you wear like a Fitbit and you got in groups of like 10 or 12, and Fort Leonard Wood won. We made $25,000, and then the $25,000 was like for live events or for life skills events that we had to use the money for. So I took about 30 people to Kansas, to a ranch for, I don't know if you were there for that, but it was like 3 or 4 days. And we went over there on a bus. We got there and it was amazing. Like, all we did was we rode horses. We mountain climb. We just did all these life skill stuff for 3 or 4 days. And it was rewarding. It was every single one of us that went, we participated, and we were the ones that made sure that everything, like every dollar was used for that. And when at Fort Leonard, where I started the first single service member day, and we that's basically just a bash where we just got a bunch of single service members within the Fort Leonard Wood area, and they all came in, and we had all these crazy gifts and watches and GoPros and iWatch, and we had iPods and iPads, and we just gave out like thousands of dollars worth of stuff. And in the military, nobody wants to be appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, oh, you know, it's like, and it's always weird for me when people are like, oh, thank you for your service. I'm like, you're welcome. Like, I don't know. I would never know what to say to that. You know what I mean? Because I don't need someone to like pat me in the back and tell me, hey, you're doing a good job. Like, I see that as the years go by with the people that I teach. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't need you to tell me I'm doing good. I just want my Marines to do good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's enough reward for me. So, it was at first, it was like I was being hypocritical when I decided to start that, you know, single service member day, because I'm like, you know, I don't like being recognized, but at the same time, it's not even about recognizing the Marines as much as just doing something where everybody comes together, and then I saw it more as like a network. So instead of me, I just brought all these people together from 4 different branches so they can network and get to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And there were gifts that we gave out, you know what I mean? And it wasn't, and so when I was doing the marketing plan for it, I wasn't advertising it as somewhere where like, oh, you can chill and relax and enjoy after, you know, hard quarter or whatever work. It was just more, no, you come in and network and meet people from other branches, because at the end of the day, the people to the left or right are the people you have with you. And when you join the military, you're so far away from your family. The people that you work with become your family.
Yeah.
Because, you know, let's say you're from Bunk Fuck Egypt and you're stationed in California now. You know, if you get a flat tire, your dad's not going to be there to help you out. It's the people you work with. You know what I mean? And that becomes your family. And something that I guess I like and I dislike in the Marine Corps, and I see all these memes on social media, how the Marine Corps is like the foster child system, where you are in a location for so long, and then all of a sudden the Marine Corps just takes you apart from all your friends and then send you somewhere completely brand new.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of those relationships last and some don't, but at the end of the day, you can walk into a new place and people welcome you with open arms.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they don't know you, which is just crazy to me, because even when I got here to Hawaii, coming from Fort Leonard Wood, I didn't know anybody here.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you go into a unit and everyone just like welcomes you like you're this like awesome individual, or like not even awesome, but they just welcome you like you're already part of the family, and you can't get that outside of this.
Yeah. Now, just speaking of going from unit to unit and everything, you know, essentially having that fresh start and whatnot, do you play it the same every time you go to a different unit? Because I know how I come in is not the way I leave. So like I get there, you know, I mean, you've worked with me enough to know how I am, but when I first got there, I was nothing like how I was by the time it was time for me to leave.
Yeah. Every time I come into a new unit, I'm always the same way. I sit back and watch for about 2 weeks to see how the unit functions before I even start putting my 2 cents in.
Yeah.
Because I've always hated when new people come in and try to change things, so they don't even know how the unit operates. And when I leave, I always try to leave on a good note, you know, because regardless whether I like the people or not, or I like the job or not, at the end of the day, everything that I do is either going to make or break, you know, them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be characterized as a piece of shit. Oh, he dropped his pack, he doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
So with Fort Leonard Wood, I think it was the hardest one, because I don't know if you knew. So my very last day at Fort Leonard Wood, I was actually, we had this indoor soccer game that I had planned out with the students.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really paying attention with my schedule. So I booked my flight of leave to Hawaii the same night, or I'm sorry, the following morning of the game. And then I was like, fuck, I'm supposed to chaperone this game. Like, how am I going to do it? Blah, blah, blah. So I went, so I packed all my stuff. I went to the game, and Kyle Williams, he's like that dude. I owe him for that's like one of the best people I've ever met. Him and his wife Paige. But I went in and we went to the game, and then they took me to the airport right after. Like it was, and I just feel obligated to do it. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't just be like, find somebody else. Hey, I plan all this stuff. Just go take the Marines and then make sure they come back. Like I planned the whole thing, and I had to leave on a good note. And I wasn't going to be good mentally knowing that, oh, if this things didn't work out, if there's any issues, we'll have people calling me, oh, the tickets are not here. Hey, where are we supposed to go? Like I needed everything to go smooth.
Yeah.
And again, like the game was over. I left the Marines, like put the Marines on the bus, and they took off. And then I took off and went to the airport and came to Hawaii. And sometimes it's very hard for me to leave, like units in the aspect of like delegating or like knowing, hey, I'm leaving in 2 days. I have to let you do your work. I've trained you. I did my turnover. You know everything. Because I don't know. I always feel like I have to be involved.
Yeah.
And it's not a good trait, honestly, because I wish that I was careless, a little bit more careless, but I care way too much.
Yeah, man. You talking about that? I wish I could be more careless. This motherfucker.
Well, you know, like
yeah, I know, man.
I wish I can say like fuck it, and then not, because even though like you know, I in my social medias I'm like, oh, I don't give a fuck, I do what I want, which is true
to an extent,
but it's never about work. You know what I mean? It's just like the lifestyle aspect of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now let's talk about that. During my interactions and the time that I spent with you in Fort Leonard or whatever, I mean, you were social media savvy and everything, but I think toward the end of my stint there and even a little bit after, you should have just been blowing up, man. I mean, I know you was always doing Snapchat and everything, but you kind of went over into the Instagram realm and everything, started doing all these videos and everything. And also, you changed as far as physique and everything. You have a little more time on your hands. You're in the gym a lot and whatnot. And yeah, man, your social media game is tight, dog. I mean, what led to that?
So the first thing was the video I posted on my Facebook.
Yeah, the
where
bus?
It was the door.
Yeah.
And it's got like over 1 million views. So that was the starting point of everything, honestly. I think that's what got me to where I'm at today. I was on Snapchat a lot, way more than I should have been. Literally, it got to a point where people didn't even text me asking where I was. They just checked my Snapchat and then they just show up to that location. Like that's just how it was. Or like, oh, what's Roque up to today? And then they just check my Snapchat and boom, there I am. But so it wasn't until late, about June of last year, where I came back into Instagram, and I kind of just sat there. I watched a lot of videos. I went through and tried to figure out how it worked.
Yeah.
And a couple things I started learning here and there. I was like, all right, started doing it, and it started working. And I went from, I had around 6,000 back in June of last year. I'm up at like 16 now, 16.9.
Yes.
And it's, I don't know, it's just, I guess I just got, like, it was more consistency. Like, you just have to be like, consistent. Like, I was have to just be consistent. And once I figure out and how it worked, I just went with it. And yeah, I had more time in the gym, so I started taking it more serious. I started with a bet, and then, you know me, I take everything way too serious, especially with bets. So
yeah,
I did that, and there I am now. You know, I was like 150, and now I'm sitting at 205.
All muscles.
And yeah, Now I'm just fat.
Oh man. We're gonna kind of wind down here, man. We're gonna end on some higher notes or whatever, because we're gonna talk about a little bit of your favorite thing and my favorite thing, professional wrestling.
Hey.
When did you come? When did you come into professional wrestling? When did it first cross your radar and everything?
When I was super young, that's all I watched from my grandpa. And then when he passed away, that's kind of I just like kept watching it, because that's like the only thing that I had to like to stay close to him, you know?
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it was at the time, and you even named your dog after him. Kane, still your favorite professional wrestler.
That's true, yeah. So when I got him, I was trying to figure out names and stuff like that, and he was actually in the vehicle. Like, I had just picked him up, and we were driving back home, and I was trying to figure out like, what kind of name I wanted to name him, and it wasn't until like I was just saying that stupid stuff out loud, because I'm like, all right, listen, if I am at a dog park and I say your name loud and it sounds stupid, like, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like, you're not at a dog park and your dog, you're about to go and you're like, pork chop. Like, it sounds dumb. Like, I'm not gonna name my dog pork chop. So my friend's like, hey, what do you like? I'm like, dude, I love wrestling, like, obviously. And it's like, oh, what's your favorite wrestler? Kane. And then that's it. It's like, all right, Kane. And it's been Kane ever since.
You've been keeping up with the product lately?
Absolutely. I watch everything. Sunday, every Raw, SmackDown, NXT, 205, NXT UK. I haven't really been into the Impact. I haven't watched Impact often because it's kind of hard. But yeah, I'm very, very, very into everything that's going on right now, especially with WrestleMania coming up. I just saw this last Elimination Chamber, which was insane.
Yeah,
to say the least.
I was there in attendance, man. It was a great show.
I know. I was very jealous of that.
And what was cool about it too, the two guys that escorted Becky Lynch out the ring or whatever, I had them on the show before. They worked down here with Booker T at his promotion. Oh, nice. So I was like, I'm sitting up in the in the stands and everything, and I'm looking down in the ring because the black guy he got the flat top, and I was just like, I recognize that flat top, and then it showed up on the screen above the arena, you know, they kind of zoomed in on the camera. I was like, that's that motherfucker JJ Blake. I know who that is. Yo, I've been dying. So every time they come to Hawaii, I go, but I'm dying to go back to the mainland and like go to a show. Like, I've been to 4 WrestleManias. Mm-hmm. I've been to 1 Elimination Chamber and 1, well, it used to be called Vengeance. Yeah. Right. But I've never been to like a live Raw or SmackDown. And that's something that I want to really bad, or go to an NXT taping. That would be awesome as well. Yeah, I think as far as a WWE bucket list go, I haven't been to a Rumble or a Survivor Series, and that's the only 2 things I really kind of want to scratch off my list. Yeah, I think a Rumble would be amazing, especially now they have the women's. Yeah, and that's one thing I've always been a fan of wrestling, but I've always been intrigued of the women, the women's roster, especially when the whole Evolution thing started with Paige, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch coming into the picture. Yeah, and just how everything has been going with them. It's super crazy, honestly, how far they've come. And you know, obviously, with the males, there's a lot of barriers that are broken every year, but right now with females, I think it's a little bit more interesting, especially the story that they have going on with Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch right now. Yeah. And I'm super intrigued by it. I know they're doing the same thing with Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston, but
just a matter of time.
Yeah. Well, man, I mean, I appreciate you giving me your time and everything. I hope I haven't detracted too much from your gym session.
Nah, you good.
But one day here soon or whatever, I want to get you back on here on I do a wrestling podcast as well, and we can get into a deeper dive on, you know, the goings on of professional wrestling.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. But before you go, homeboy, let everybody know where they can find you on social media, and if you got anything planned or coming up or whatever. I see you doing things with different clothing brands and everything and whatnot. Let them know what you got going on.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It's do what I want. It's really weird how it's spelled out though. It's 1 D0 what 1 1. So like basically the vowels are the numbers, except the A. I'm on Snapchat, KNWRES, and basically if you find me on Instagram, I have everything on there in the aspect of one of the clothing brands that I'm with is called Hera Hero. It's by Jeremy Buendia. If you know him, if you're into fitness, you know who that is. You can, go on the website, see the stuff, and use the code ROKE for 10% off. I'm one of those guys. I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to get on your level, man.
That. I'm like, yeah, 10% off. Yeah, I'm one of those guys.
Shit, man, I'm trying to get on your level, dog. The only thing I want enough followers to where I can do the little swipe up thing on my shit, man.
Yeah, it starts at 10.
Yeah, so I'm ways off. I got 9,000 to go.
Hey, at one point I was there too. And again, it's all about consistency, and just knowing how to play the Instagram game. I took a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of hours and stuff like that. So I was sitting in Japan. I had nothing else better to do in my life, especially in Japan. So I just watched all that stuff after I got done watching everything from Hulu and Snapchat, or not Hulu and Netflix. But yeah, if you guys, you find me on social media, hit me up, throw me a DM, because I don't really pay attention who follows me, and I'm really bad at following back. I'm a fucking asshole, sorry. But hey, that's just how social media game works.
Yeah, that's how it is. But once again, man, I appreciate your time. Keep on keeping on. I hope you make your decision soon. Hope is the one that you really want. Hope everything work out the way you planned it. And anytime you want to come back, this bullshit or whatever the case may be, man, the door is always open for you to do so.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And there he is, Mr. I don't give a fuck, Mr. I do what I want, Mr. I pop my kidneys and keep going. It was good to catch up with my man. As I said previous, as we discussed here on the show, you can follow everything that he's doing on Instagram and Snapchat and everything. He's living, man. That's just what he does. He's taking every advantage that the military has offered him, and he is just getting his money's worth, their money's worth, or something. However that shit works. Highly motivated, highly dedicated. It was a pleasure to work with the man. I've learned a little bit from him. And I took a little bit of his know-how and put it into my toolbox as well. And, it's nothing but good things I can say about this dude. So once again, follow him on social media, see all the shenanigans he get into. Use his promo code. He's one of those guys. Hell, use my promo code, goddammit, at Hooks, Rubs, and Spices on Etsy.com. If the promo code is 3R Show, get 10% off your order on all orders $6 or more. But yeah, I'm kind of squeaking it in here. I went to Louisiana this weekend, see my families, seen Captain Marvel, which was pretty good. I can't say it was bad. I know a lot of people are giving it a flack. It almost gave me a Ant-Man and Wasp feel, to where it was like a story that needed to be put out there, so it can be a piece in that bigger puzzle that we're getting here within a couple of weeks. Yeah, man. Endgame is coming out soon, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited. And yeah, I just want to put my eyeballs on it, or eyeball on it if I was Nick Fury. So if you've seen Captain Marvel, you get to kind of see how he lost his eyeball and whatnot. Pretty hilarious. But anyway, we're going to ride on out and prepare for the work week. You can follow me on Twitter at itsbrob. That's ITSBROB. If you want to talk professional wrestling and any other general shenanigans, that's the place you do it. This podcast here also has its own Twitter, which you can follow at 3R Show. If you want to listen to a professional wrestling podcast hosted by myself and a variety of other individuals that may happen to walk on in and sit on down and have a chat with me, you can follow Wrestling Be Trash on Twitter. That's the official Instagram. I keep saying Instagram, Twitter account for Wrestling Is Trash. And you can also follow it on Instagram at Wrestling Is Trash. And for finding all the episodes, you can go to wrestlingistrash.com. Speaking of .coms, you can go to randomrobcast.com to where you can find all manner of ways to support the show, whether it be monetarily through Podbean. I keep saying Podbean. I'm not with the Podbean crowdfunding no more. Patreon. If you want to go to patreon.com/3R show, you can find me there, or you can go to randomrobcast.com and find a link and click on it right there. You can donate as little as $1 a month, or if you don't want to have a monthly commitment, you can just donate straight up through PayPal and Cash App. It's all on randomrobcast.com. And if you want to support visually, represent the brand of the 3R show, you can go to the merchandise store, which is contained within randomrobcast.com. And I got some shirts, I got some hats, I got some more things coming soon. I just got to get the details right on it before I publish it. And shout out to everybody that purchased a piece of merchandise. I got some hats flying out your way. I got some shirts coming your way, some stickers and whatnot, and I really appreciate that. What else? That's about it. The free way, the awesome way that you can help support this show, and you ain't got to spend a dime of your money, is by listening, of course. I mean, you hearing me saying this, so obviously you're listening, and I appreciate that. But tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and don't just tell them, make them listen. You can write a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts, 5 stars preferably. If you got anything less than that, I enjoy some constructive criticism. If you're a podcaster yourself, you hit me up in the DM talking about doing a pod swap, to where I write you a review, you write me a review. I'm down for that. Hit me up in the DM. But all in all, that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. randomrobcast.com. Find all that stuff. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and all those other places. And I'll see you next time.